make it a relic. Okay, you're in church. Don't make you a Christian. The judge looks and says, what evidence is there of your faith? Prove to me that you're a Christian. I want you to think a minute. I just want you to imagine yourself in that situation. The challenge is put to you to prove outward evidence of the inward faith that you know you have. What evidence would you offer? There's a tired and overused and abused cliche in our society, and I think we need to retire it permanently. The cliche says this: you just gotta have faith. You just gotta have faith. This trite pseudo-moralism is not only nonsensical, but if it did make sense, it would be wrong. How many people in our country today define Christianity as belief in God? How many people define Christianity? I'm a Christian because I believe in God. You're talking to, well, I'm okay, I believe in God. Or even worse yet, I've got faith. Or worse yet, you just got to have faith. How many people in our society define Christianity as belief in God? I think that most people in our country, most people in our culture would say that they believe in God, and of course leave that definition, that term, God, undefined. Most people all over the world can make this very same claim, but that's not enough. Belief in God is not enough to get us to heaven. Having some sort of a mental belief about the existence of an eternal, divine power is not what gets a person to heaven. James makes this abundantly clear in verse 19. He says, you believe in one God. You do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. Demons believe in God. Not only that, but they shudder. James makes it clear that their belief is not some vague belief in some higher power, but they believe in one true God. Demons know who God is. They believe in Him. They believe in His existence. But guess what? Demons are going to burn in hell forever. Satan believes in God, and Satan will burn in hell forever. Anyone who is just basing their faith on some vague general notion of a divine power sits in the company of the demons and the devil, who also believe in God. Unless you allow that belief, and that specific belief in Jesus Christ, to transform your lives from the inside out. See, what gets you into heaven is the right, believing in the right thing, and believing in the right way. Having faith in the right thing, having faith in the right way. Faith in the right thing is not just faith in the existence of a divine higher power, but in the identity and the work of Jesus Christ. That Jesus Christ is God's Son and God the Son. He is divine and human. His death, His resurrection, and His sacrifice for us. The truth of His Word, the Bible. That's faith in the right thing. Faith of the right kind is an active faith, not a passive faith. An active faith is a striving faith, a faith that strives to live in obedience to God's Word, striving to love others, striving to love God, and to live each day in a relationship with Him that grows ever closer and empowers us each day more so and more so to fulfill those callings in our lives of obedience and love. An active faith is the right kind of faith. We've got to have the right kind of faith and faith in the right thing. James gives two examples of what this sort of right faith looks like. He starts with Abraham. Abraham is the father of monotheism. That he is the father of those who believe in one God. Prior to Abraham, people believed in many gods. The Greek gods, the Babylonian gods, the Egyptian gods. They believed in many gods. And Abraham said, no. There is one God. There is only one true God. He is the father of monotheism. He is also the father of the Jews. God tests Abraham by giving him a son when Abraham is 100 years old, and then telling Abraham to kill that son. It's a very challenging test. It's a very morbid test, and it makes us, in some sense, we say, why would God do that? Why would God ask Abraham to do that? But God stops Abraham at the last moment, and he says, Abraham, I wanted to see if you valued me more than everything else on earth, and so I chose that thing on earth which you valued more than everything else, and I told you to sacrifice it, get rid of it, destroy it. And when I saw that you were willing to give that thing up, I knew that your love for me, your trust in me, your desire, your commitment to obeying my commands was greater than anything here on earth. And that is evidence of the faith that's inside of Abraham. Abraham had passed God's test. His works had proved the genuine depth of his faith. Abraham's faith was an active faith. James calls Abraham and uses him as an example of how works prove the validity of one's faith. I want to read that section of James for you. He says, do you want to be shown, you foolish person, that faith apart from works is useless? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered up his son Isaac on the altar? You see that faith was active along with his works. And faith was completed by his works. And the scripture was fulfilled that says, Abraham believed God, and it was counted to him as righteousness, and he was called a friend of God. It's Abraham's obedience to God's command that proves the genuine nature of his faith. So a working faith is a faith that works. A working faith is a faith that works. And it's the only kind of faith that brings about salvation. James 2:24 says, you see, a person is justified by works and not by faith alone. The person's works justify him to those around him. They testify to those around him of the true nature of his faith. Such works justify their claim to having faith. When the judge asks you for the evidence, the works are the evidence you give. Without such works, there is no justification to the claim to having faith. Works are the proof of faith. That's what the judge is looking for when he asks you for the evidence. But James uses one other example in the history of Israel. The first example was a man. The second example was a woman. The first example was a pillar of society. The second example was a dirty lowlife. The first example was the father of all Jews. The second example was a Gentile. The first example was Abraham. The second example is Rahab, the prostitute. She heard about God's word and who God is in Joshua when the Israelites came to destroy her city. She betrayed her own people, her own nation, her own friends, her own distant relatives. She betrayed them all in order to obey God and to serve God. Her obedience to God was more important to her than her patriotism. Her obedience to God was more important to her than her physical safety, which she risked by hiding the spies. She became a traitor, and that was more important to her to obey God. She became a traitor because of her obedience to God when she abetted the enemy. But James says that this willingness to risk all in order to serve God revealed an amazing and active faith living in this woman. James 2:25. And in this same way, was not also Rahab the prostitute justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way? She is justified in claiming to have faith in God because she sacrificed everything. She was willing to risk it all in order to work for God. She actively served God. Faith that doesn't act is dead. It's like a car without an engine. It's like a body without breath. It's like a body without life. And that's James' concluding example here in comparison. He says in 2:26, "For as the body, apart from the spirit, is dead, so also faith, apart from works, is dead." Your faith is made alive by your works. So is your faith alive? Do you have works that support your faith, that prove your faith, that validate your faith? No, does somebody outside this church know that you're a Christian? Or is it only when you're here that you're a Christian? When you walk out the doors, is your life different than those around you? Is your Christian faith something that changes the way that you live, that informs your every decision, that alters your every action? Or when you walk out of these doors, do you feel good and say, "Oh, that was a good worship service today," and go on living your lives as if nothing changed, as if you don't have a faith? Is your faith a living and active faith, or is it a passive and dead faith? If we truly believe, it will affect every decision, every conversation, every consideration, and everything that we do. Our lives themselves will become a testimony to God's goodness and to our own salvation. It's that sort of faith that is alive and active. The private, silent, unnoticed, unremarkable, that sort of faith is dying or dead. Feed your faith with works of righteousness and kindness and love. Feed your faith with works that will make it live and make it fly. Friends, we are not called to waddle through life. We are called to soar on wings as eagles, to love others, and to live out our faith in powerful ways that will change our lives and the lives of those around us. Let's soar. Let's get out there and soar as eagles so that we can declare God's goodness. Amen. Father, help us to live lives that are extraordinary to your glory. We humbly pray. Amen.